You're listening to Permission to Shine, the podcast. Stories of overcoming obstacles and finding self-empowerment with Sherisse Bisram, Inner Power Activation Leader. The Oxford Dictionary describes permission as the action of officially allowing someone to do a particular thing, consent, authorization. What if you were that someone and you gave yourself the permission to be everything you wanted to be and more? No more playing small and accepting less than. You are worthy of the life of your dreams, regardless of what it is that you've been through. And honestly, it's exactly what you've been through that shaped you into the version of yourself that you are now. Like a diamond, you've endured so much, but instead of breaking, you have become stronger and brighter. And if that's not a reason to shine, then I don't know what is. And if nature can do it, then why the hell can't you? You are brave, you are strong, you are powerful, and you are enough. Hear my call and give yourself the permission to shine, because you don't realise how many people are inspired by your light. Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 71. Now I'm really excited because I found a new bestie and she's with me today, which I'm so excited about because I had Soul Speaks at the weekend, which obviously those of you that follow me will know all about that, and it was just the most amazing experience. I feel like we were in a vortex of energy, and I'm definitely not the same person I was when I went in, and I knew that was going to happen. But yeah, I'm really excited to introduce to you Stacey, because she is a psychic mentor, and she was just inundated with questions the whole way through because she's just so gifted. Everyone just wanted a bit of her, so I was like, right, finally I'm gonna get you on. So thank you for being here, Stacey.
I love that instruction. I know, and I feel the same. I do genuinely feel like I found a new bestie for sure. And yeah, I know the event was incredible, and I do feel like I'm actually probably the first event I felt like I actually really did connect with so many people, which I think is really nice, because sometimes you go to events and I come away and I'm like, I did kind of retract a little bit, all right? Do you know what I mean? Or you gravitate to one person, but there was just so many incredible people at that event. It was amazing.
Yes, I completely agree. I just feel like like I keep saying, it was a movement. I don't know what happened, but we shifted something in that space and it was just beautiful.
Yeah, 100% agree.
And I like, me and Stacey, obviously we both stayed there the same amount of time, so it was inevitable we were going to connect. But I feel like sometimes you don't, do you? And it's like quite hollow. But I feel like we just bonded, which was nice. And yeah, universe definitely was at work there. But I'd love for you to kind of tell everyone in your words what it is that you do, because obviously I'm saying it in like loose terms, but I'd love for you to explain yeah, what it is you do and all of the things really.
So I always say this is a bit of a mouthful. I always have to take this like long breath after I've said it, but I am a psychic business mentor. I am an energy alchemist, and I teach spiritual development. So I've got like two businesses, two kind of different, very different sets of clients. One where like people, they're women, they're entrepreneurs, they're seeing success in their business, but equally they realize, or they have this urge, they have this feeling, where they're like, do you know what? There's definitely more available to me. And maybe the way that they've scaled their business to date, or the way that they're seeing success in their lives or their business right now, it's served them to a point, but they realize that, do you know what? Maybe I'm not loving it as much as I thought I would, or maybe I'm just ready for something different, and they're really looking to unlock that next version of themselves, or that next version of success, or that next level. And I always say to people, like, not everyone in the world desires to unlock their spiritual or psychic gifts. So equally, a lot of my business clients, they would just much rather pay me to tell them, like, Stace, just tell me, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to do? What's my block? What can't I see? And they would just much rather just pay me and I can do it for them. But then I have the flip side of that. Some are entrepreneurs, some are not. Some are just your normal, whatever normal is these days, but normal people, where they're like, do you know what? I love that you can give me all this information, but equally, I feel the pull to explore that on my own. I feel like I want to be able to give myself that guidance. If I have a question, I want to know that I have this process that I can call upon to be able to receive what I need when I need it, as often as I need it. So then I help people to really connect in unlock them parts of ourselves, because we all have an intuition and we are all psychic. Whether you choose to venture into them parts of yourselves and unlock that, that's a choice that we all get to make. But yeah, I help people to do that as well. And it's everything that I teach is actually nothing that I've ever read from a book, been taught by somebody else. Everything that I teach is purely channeled. Like it's the guidance, the highest guidance that I have been given to serve other people. So I always say it's absolutely, I'm just a vessel. It's not about me. It's not about my journey. It's not about what works for me, what doesn't work for me. Everything that I do is about the person that I'm working with.
And I love that so much about you, because I think that, you're so genuine as a human being. And I think that for me, that's a real connecting point for who I connect with, because I think that, even being a performer and even now going into the business space, it's just so showy, isn't it? Like we meet so many people that are showy, and exactly what you said then, like we teach, a lot of people are teaching what worked for them and not actually what's best for their client or the person that they're working with. And I think that's the key point there, because I think a lot of people, when they meet me and they hear my story, they think I'm going to show them exactly the thing that I did, but actually that's not how, for me, being a mentor is. Being a mentor is just being a guide and actually tuning into what it is that the other person needs and seeing their blocks, like you said. But I love how you do that in a spiritual sense. Like I just think it's just amazing. And it's so, I guess it's hard to explain to people that have no idea about what this is. It's like, how do you explain something you can't see but you can feel? It's just crazy, isn't it? But I'd love for you to kind of dive in a little bit more about how our intuition is that maybe channel or that connecting point to spirituality, because I think that a lot of us think that our intuition is just in our body and that's it, whereas for me, I feel like that is my kind of guidance from above saying that doesn't feel right because it's not right for you. So I'd love for you to explain that and how you kind of see that.
Yeah, absolutely. So our intuition comes from our spirit team. This is like I always say to people, what I call with the names and the terminology that I use. If it resonates, great. But if it doesn't, just listen to what it is that I'm saying rather than the words I'm using to explain it. Like God, universe, source. It's just a word. As long as you know what it is, the energy that you're tuning into, that's what's important. So I call it spirit team, and it's something that we all have, whether we like it or not. And our spirit team is made up of our higher selves, our spirit guides, our angel guides, and then sometimes we can also use the energy of the universal source as well. But it's those three core pillars. There are cases where we have like guardian angels and past loved ones can absolutely be part of our spirit team, but not necessarily. So yeah, it's those, I see it as those three core pillars: our higher selves, our spirit guides, and our angel guides. And they're the ones that their sole job is to guide us to ascend to our highest timeline, as close as we possibly can as human beings to get in there. And so that's why that our intuition is only designed to serve us, because the only information that those people have, I'll say those people, that those parts, let's say people, those people with our spirit team have access to is our highest timeline. So what they do is they see where we're at, they see what we're capable of, and then they listen to what it is that either we're asking for or that we want more of. And then they try to just align as much as they can us to our highest timeline, because they're like, this is what your potential is, this is what's possible for you, let's get you there or as close to there as possible. So I think as one of the things I said in the talk is that the biggest misconception is that people think that their intuition is only something that talks to them or communicates with them when it's like, yes, this is for me, or oh no, it's not for me. And actually that can be for some people if that's your way of receiving, but it can also do so much more than that. It can literally tell you the explicit details of something you want to know if you have mastered that connection and you've really refined understanding the language that our intuition speaks to us in. So the intuition speaks to us through our body, but just like if you was to look at a psychic, I mean, I don't speak about the clairs, but you know, like you've got clairsentient, clairaudient, all of those things. I say it in, you've got clear hearing, you've got clear seeing, clear knowing, clear feeling, clear taste, clear smell, right? But the core four pillars of clear seeing, clear feeling, clear hearing, clear knowing, those are also the four languages that our intuition speak to us in. So it's the same. Some people see images in their head. Some people might hear a voice, and that voice isn't necessarily external. It can also be internal. So we can just hear the voice in our head. It's the same thing. Sometimes it sounds like us. Sometimes it might sound like somebody else. We might have that gut feeling, like I was saying, that instant, like, I don't know how I know this, but I just know I need to do it. Or I know that I absolutely should not be doing this right now. Or we have that feeling overcoming our body. It could be like, I normally when I'm voice noting and I'm talking away and I'm channeling, and I'll be like, oh my God, I've got full body chills right now. It's like confirmation of like, yes, this is what we want you to say. So sometimes it could be like prickles at the back of your neck, or it could be full body goosebumps, or the hairs on your arms stand, or whatever it is. It can be so many different things for different people. It's just understanding how your body communicates with you.
Yeah, I love that explanation so much. And I actually know a lot of women that say those things just in normal conversation. They're like, oh, I've got chills then. They don't know why they're saying that, right? But it is their intuition speaking to them. And I think it's so important. And I love the way you explained that, because I thought it was so clear, because so many of us are, blissfully unaware. Like I remember getting the call about doing a job. And this was like my first dance job out of college. And on the phone, I was feeling a bit overwhelmed listening to the conversation, but I was pushing through because I was like, no, this is going to be my first dance job. I'm going to do it. And when I got off the phone, I instantly felt this isn't right. And in myself, I knew it wasn't right, but I was like, I've got to go because this is my first job. So I can't say no to it. Because at that time, I was in such scarcity mindset that I thought that a better opportunity wouldn't come. And now I can see why the universe didn't want me to go there. And I chose some hard lessons as a result. And I feel like so many of us do that, right? Like when it comes to like your ex texts you and you're like, do I respond? Do I not? And then you end up responding anyway. And then you repeat the loop again. And it's like the universe was like, no, or your guides, whoever it is looking down on you, literally like, guys. And it's so funny now because I think there's so many memes that show exactly what it is that I think that our teams are doing, like our spirit team. It's so easy now to access spirituality, whereas I feel like when I was younger, I didn't not only know about this, but I feel like I was numbing it because I didn't want to access it because it was weird, like it was weird that I was hearing, my own voice, but saying different things to me that I wasn't thinking, or like I've always had energy through my hands. And that's like my hand chakras, which I know now. I still don't know why sometimes it comes on, why it comes off. There's actually no reason for it other than to just maybe remind me that I'm that bitch. I don't know. But it's just, yeah, it's just funny, isn't it, when we tune into that? And like you said, it's kind of fine tuning that instrument within you to know what it is. That so many of us do it. And I think, would you say that women do have a closer connection to that, or is that something that everyone has the same?
Oh, I've never been asked that question. And my psychic senses were wanting to respond straight away before I was like, oh, I would say yes. And I think I'm being called to the reason I'm saying yes is because as women, we are naturally more connected to our bodies than men are. Obviously, that's not for every man,
No.
but if we generalized it, I would say yes. And that would be the reason for it. I think just because we have these monthly cycles, we have different types of, we have more awareness. We tend to be more softer and more, we tend to explore our feminine energy a little bit more freely than maybe some men do. So I feel like it is easier for women. But obviously that does depend on the man. But yeah, interesting. I've never actually been asked that. I've never even thought about it that way. But yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, obviously, me, I'm like a big old feminist over here. Not that I don't love men, because I do now, but I didn't used to. And I'm very honest about that because obviously my healing journey took me down a different pathway. But I feel like I've always kind of, because I connect through my body, obviously through dance and then movement. I think I've always been aware that, like exactly what you said, that women are more connected to their body and they go with like their feeling a little bit more than what men do. So that's why I just wanted to know that was like almost a genetic, like by design thing, that was happening. But you did obviously on your talk speak about millionaires' intuition. And I'd love to know, now I did ask you this in person, but I'd love for you to clear this as well for people that are just interested, really, like the difference between a millionaire's intuition to maybe just see that's down the road that works in co-op.
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason I called what I teach millionaires intuition is that it's not from a monetary sense. It doesn't mean that that connecting to your intuition is necessarily going to get you millions in the bank, although it absolutely can if you go down the right road. But it was more from the mindset that a millionaire has. So if you speak to any successful millionaire, they will tell you that when faced with a choice, that if they choose that they in fact desire both options, they will have both options and they will figure it out. But equally, if say maybe like, I don't know, Joe down the road was like, oh, would you like this sandwich or this sandwich, for instance, they would be like, I will have, I'd love both. Okay, I'll just have, and they will feel like, I have to choose one. Where a millionaire would be like, I want both, so I'm just going to fucking both. Or
Yeah.
it's that mindset of like having an intuition, your standard intuition, your bog standard intuition. The people use it for that. Is this situation right for me? Is this person right for me? Should I accept this invitation? Where a millionaire's intuition is really opening ourselves up to it, being like, what do we want? And if I want it, and even if it makes no logical sense, because intuition does not make logical sense, because it doesn't come from that part of the brain, it comes from the body, it comes from our channel. So sometimes we have to understand that things don't make sense. And sometimes we are drawn to both. And there was a couple of ladies actually that came up to me at the event, and one of them said, look, I've been offered a promotion, but I want to start my business. Can you help me? And I was like, yes, okay. And they're like, what should I do? Now, I'm not saying that this is what everyone should be going out there asking a psychic, what do I do every time you're taking a decision? But obviously I was there and I said I'd answer some questions. And I said to her, I was like, you're meant to do both. And she kind of like, she looked at me as if she was really worried. And I was like, you need to accept the promotion and you need to continue to build your business. And the promotion is actually going to open new doors, which is going to allow you to accelerate your business much faster than if you actually turn one down. And it was funny that when I got to actually know this individual, it made perfect sense. She's someone that has quite an unusual relationship, like the way that she does things. It would be so unaligned for her to all of a sudden in her life feel like she has to go down one route or the other, when in fact there is always a decision to have both. And there is a ability in a way that you can have both. You need to be open to it. And sometimes your intuition will be like, that's a no and that's a yes. But understanding, lots of people are in that frame of mind. It's either a yes or a no. It's either a do it or a don't. When in fact there is this millionaire's intuition where sometimes we have to be open to, there are opportunities where we are meant to say yes and we're meant to do this as well. But that's a whole different mindset.
Oh gosh, I love that so much. And it makes perfect sense. And I think that there'll be a lot of people listening because I've had conversations with people about this, about how they've done that. They're like, oh, like I really want to get my business off the ground, but should I stop doing my other thing? And actually part of me feels like in certain situations, like when something's taking up all of your time and you're confusing the universe because you keep going back to that thing that's not serving you, that's when my thing is like ditch off the business and trust the universe to unfold it for you or your higher self, right? But in a lot of situations, exactly what you said there, you do need to do both because it is the vehicle, right? Money's the vehicle. So if the money comes from the fact that you've got a promotion and then that allows you to employ someone else to support you in your business, then you've actually just hit the nail on the head. I don't think there's like one way to do things, right? And I think that you opening up that you know, and more sort of conversation and perspective is really lovely, because yeah, we do just think we have to have one or the other, and actually we can have both. And I feel like in my own life I'm getting better at taking bigger leaps because the universe feels like that's right, you know, like especially when it comes to finances, like that's been something that I've been in a scarcity mindset for and conditioned for my whole life. So now I'm ready to, like, you know, scale and jump and do all these big things. It's almost like the universe is asking me, my higher self is asking me to jump first, and we'll make it work. Like that's just literally it. Like even today, like I feel like I need to celebrate myself. Like the universe is saying, just go and celebrate yourself. So I'm going to literally take the rest of the afternoon and go and treat myself to a nice lunch or a beautiful coffee somewhere, just nice, because the universe is like, you've worked really hard, just have some time for you. But the old mindset in me could have been like, no, today's a working day, we're going to get things done. But my higher self is like, bitch, chill the F out. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's just when we tune into that, knowing. And also for me, that's the feminine energy there, space. And that's why I asked you that question about the masculine and the feminine, because you know, we see it very clearly, that we've had conversations about this, about when like the female leaders are in their masculine energy too much, it actually doesn't serve all the time. And it's great to dip in and out. But I know full well that when my cup's full, it's because I've been in my feminine for a while. And I think that going away for this weekend was a reminder of that space as well. So yeah, I kind of went off piece there, but basically in summary, just to say that my higher self wants me to have nice things and to live a nice life. So I need to be doing that to show my higher self, and then the universe as the cause and effect, that I'm worthy and deserving of nice things, so it will keep presenting me more opportunities to have nice things. And I mean, I guess is that right? Would you say that that's actually it?
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. When we align ourselves to what it is we really want, which if we're all really honest, we want more luxury, we want more money, we want more success, we want more love, we want more joy, we want more passion, we want more excitement, we want more freedom. Like we want all of these nice things. And often, like the whole reason of like the millionaire's intuition is like being able to have more. Like you can have more success and more freedom. And there isn't a choice of like either or. And when we find that really great space of being able to have both, the universe, the same as manifestation, like I talk about manifestation with your spirit guides, when you can manifest with your intuition, it will literally 10x your manifestations overnight. Like that's not even a joke, because what we're doing is we are literally becoming an embodiment of what we want more of. We're understanding that when we're in alignment, when we're listening to our intuition, and we are literally like, I am walking my walk. Like, and it's not always about bypassing. It's not always that if we are divinely connected to our intuition, that we're never going to get our hearts broken, that we're never going to be in hustle mode, that we're never going to, do you know what I mean? Whatever the thing is, we're never going to have a hard lesson. We're never going to experience struggle. Like, yeah, you will, but it's trusting, it's seeing the polarity in every situation to be like, this feels really fucking hard right now, but look what's on the other side of that. Like the lessons, who I'm becoming because of this obstacle, like because of this struggle, because of what I'm having to overcome, the lessons that I'm learning, the people that I'm meeting, the doors that I'm opening. Like we get to expand into spaces that then allow us to get more of what we want. And I think sometimes people are like, oh, well, if I'm aligned to my intuition, everything is just going to work out for me. It will do, but it doesn't mean it's not going to feel hard. Like we're still human. There are certain things that we have to experience. But when we're in that alignment, we are grateful for everything we've got, but we also understand I can be grateful for everything I've got and still desire more, not from a place of greed, from a place of fucking self-love. Like I deserve more. I am the queen that I am, and I get to have more if that's what I desire. The universe sees that and they're like, yeah, let's give her it.
I love it.
There's no such thing as too much. Like that's a human thing. Like humans invented time. Humans invented this kind of like narrative around like you have enough, you have too much, you have not enough. Do you know what I mean? Like the universe, there's an abundance of everything. It's limitless. So they're just like, oh, cool, you want more. Great.
Yeah, I love that. I so love that so much. And I think that that's such a great reminder for people because, again, we cap our success, we cap our what we can achieve and who we should be. And it's because we are so wrapped up in the human experience of that and seeing that in tangible form that we're not connecting with that intuition or that higher self that says you can have it. And I know so many people that have these big dreams and aspirations that won't reach for it because their human self is capping them or whatever it is, and this is another thing on that is that I feel like the people that aren't going for those big dreams that they have aren't listening to their intuition, right? Because their intuition wouldn't have get their soul self, their higher self wouldn't have gave that dream to them if they weren't supposed to fulfill it. And I think that that's I guess the opposite of what we're talking about, having all these beautiful, amazing things in your life, you're stopping yourself from having that. And that's a hard pill to swallow. And I think I spoke about that on my talk about we're the only thing in our own way, that there's actually no obstacle, we're the obstacle. And like it's that I feel like I've said this before as well, like the only limitations we have are the ones we put on ourselves. So it's like, why can't we just dare to like just challenge yourself a little bit? Like for me today, I don't have to go to the Ritz and spend like £500 on a meal, but I can go and just go somewhere a bit nicer and maybe spend, I don't know, buy a £7 coffee instead of a £4 one as a treat. Do you know what I mean? There's like little things you can do that still feel luxurious and beautiful. And obviously that's like a bit of a crap example, but it's just an idea of like, yeah, like you do get to have more. And I think when I realized that, I was like, wow, I've been loving limiting myself for so long. But again, we're conditioned, right? And that's the humanness for all of that stuff. But what would you say to someone, I guess, that wants to strengthen their intuition? Like, what would be their first kind of like 3 top tips that you'd give for that situation?
Okay, so number one, it would be to understand who you're connecting to. So obviously we've already spoke about that. So understand that your intuition is coming from your spirit team, which is your higher self, your spirit guides, your angel guides. You do not have to worry about who makes up my spirit guides or what's the name. Everyone says to me, do you know the names of your spirit guides? And I'm like, well, I've received a few names, but I actually don't desire to know because it's really, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that important. They speak to me whether I know their names or not. So it's like people tie themselves in knots with the really irrelevant information. Do not worry about what your spirit guide's name is. It's not important. The other thing would be to understand that, and this is and people that have been doing spiritual work for a long time still don't know this. Like it surprises me. You'll be surprised how many conversations I have with like psychic mediums that do not do this. But the most important thing is to understand that your intuition will come in at its strongest when you are in a neutral space. So it's that place where you just are. It's like, it's in that I often come into that as like, I just am in that moment. You just feel your body is calm, it's relaxed. It just feels you're in neutral. If you literally imagine sitting in your car and you're neutral, you're not going anywhere. You're not thinking about anything. You're not worrying about anything. And sometimes that could be a bit of a skill to do and to master. And you don't have to do meditation in order to receive your intuition. Your intuition is speaking to you all day long. But it's just sometimes having those intentional moments where I'm like, let me just take a minute. Let me just take a breath. Let me just relax my shoulders. Let me just allow it to drop in and like hear it in all its clarity. So if you can find times, and people have said to me, I don't ever experience that. And I'm like, that's bullshit. Like, are we allowed to swear on this podcast, Sherisse?
Yeah, of course we are. Yeah. I mean, you know me.
No, no, I'm joking. But it's like you can have your cup of tea in the morning, like having a mindful moment, going on the gym, being on the treadmill. Like, I don't know, my gym is like they've got these crappy little windows that just look out to like a little square car park. My brain goes, I'm not thinking about walking. We know how to walk, one foot in front of the other, right? We can have a mindful moment. We can be doing something, hoovering, washing up, in the shower. There are so many times in everyone's days where you actually do experience that neutral energy, but we we don't connect the dots. We're like, oh yeah, driving's another one for me. I'm always powerfully channeling when I'm driving. Probably wouldn't recommend it, but I'm sure those people could agree that it probably happens to them. And what else? And just, I would say, master the basics. Like, start with playing your intuition. And I know that I wanted to do this on the actual event, but I didn't have time. But you can literally just stand up, and it's so easy, and use your body like a pendulum. And you can ask yourself, take a deep breath in and ask yourself, or say, my name is. So I would stand up and say, my name is Stacey. My name is Stacey. My name is Stacey. And your body is either going to lean forwards, backwards, or side to side. That is your yes. So then you want to confirm that that's your yes by saying, my name is Stephen. My name is Stephen. My name is Stephen. Your body is going to be like, oh, this is not. So this is a no. And then you can just play and just like ask yourself those types of questions, or get yourself a pendulum if you want a pendulum. Like, have fun with it. I think people just, they make, like, this doesn't have to be serious work. Like, we can, my whole concept is that I help you to get spiritual as fuck with the time that you've got. And if that's 5 minutes a day, then great, that's what we've got, and we're going to work with it. You don't spend hours meditating. You don't have to do all of those things that we think we should. You get to do what feels good.
Yes, I love that so much. And it's so funny because a lot of the things that you said about the different places that you end up being in neutral and like getting like downloads, that's exactly where you listed. So when I'm driving, I always get it. When I'm in the shower, that is like the prime thing. When for some reason, I think about content in the shower. I don't know why. I just go into the shower and that's the first thing that I think about. And then that's where the messages start to come through for content. I'm like, there you go. So those of you that are on my social media, just know that I was in the shower when that came up. And just, yeah, random. Also, before I go to bed, like, because I have a whole ritual before I go to bed to like close myself down. That's when I get like the most kind of like insights. And through my dreams as well, actually. I've been having lots of weird dreams at the moment, but there's lots of astrological activity, and I feel like that obviously connects with me deeply. And again, I guess that's one of the things that I use as like a compass to understand, but not everyone will. But I love the compass thing, the body compass thing. I've only really started doing that properly within the last year. And I feel like, you know what's really funny is I feel like I was doing it before with around like exes. And I feel like that I was getting yes because it was like I was asking, is this the right person for me? And what I know now is it was the right person for the time,
Yeah.
not for the forever. And I
Yeah.
think that that's I want people to just be understanding of that, because I think that, like you said, we have to go through the process of the learning in order to come out the other side. And actually, I do feel like every person that I did date that I was like, oh, is this the right person for me? And it was saying yes, was like, yeah, because they've taught me something. Each of them taught me something that led me to the person that I am now. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of like reiterate that because it's so important, everything you said then. And it's just I just feel like, well, every single person you said has this ability, right? Everyone's got this access to this. And it's just if they tune in, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like going to the gym, isn't it? It's like strengthening that muscle. It's like muscle memory. Do you know what I mean when you've been, when you've been to the gym and you've been at your fittest, and then you have that break, and then everything starts to go on the decline? Well, when we were all younger, I guarantee you 100% there'll be experiences, whether you remember them or not, or whether they're stories that you've been told, but where you saw things, felt things, heard things, whatever the thing is. And then as we get older, society, parents, teachers, the world, like the books that we read, that all the things, they condition us to start changing our beliefs and the way that we see the world, and to start to see things in a more logical sense. Like, where are the facts? Where's the proof? Explain this to me. And the truth is, the world that me and you live in, we choose to live in, not everything can be explained. And that's why it's so important to have that trust. And I was talking to a client of mine yesterday, and she's an incredible woman, very, very gifted. And She helps people to collect to galactic energies, and she does all sorts of things. She clears energy, she puts you in like energetic healing pods, all the things. And she was saying to me that she was talking to a client, and a client said to her that when she was younger, she used to know that there was something under her bed. And she used to say to her parents, she'd get all like, wake up in the night, and I've seen them, they've gone under my bed. And what do parents do? Like, they look and they're like, no, no, look, there's nothing there. You're just imagining it. Go back to sleep. And she said that, and I was like, absolutely, I had something under my bed. And I remember used to run in my room, and we had, me and my sister had bunk beds, but there were bunk beds where you could also take them down. So we had them for a little while where we were side by side, but then meant that we had gaps under our beds. Once like, you could get under it. And I used to get up so close to my bed, and I used to jump because I used to think it's going to grab my feet. And I remember that now. And I'm like, yeah, I was so convinced, because I probably, either I felt that there was an energy. It doesn't mean we might think as kids it's scary. It might not be that scary, but there's energies around us all the time. Whether we choose to feed into that, believe it, trust it, see it, whatever, that's our choice. But what do our parents say? No, no, nothing is there. See? So it's programming us to be like, oh, if I can't see it, it doesn't exist. But our eyes only show us 20% of what's actually in front of us. So there's 80% of the world that exists in front of me and you right now, and we can't see it. We've got no.
I love that. I remember you said that to me actually when we were at the weekend, and I was like, yeah, it makes so much sense, because how many times do we walk into a room and we like we shiver or something, don't we? Because we're like, oh, this doesn't feel right in here. You just know, don't you? And it's so powerful. But I love that when you said about there's something under my bed thing, because now I think about that as an adult, I'm like, this is why people really need to be cleansing their homes and stuff, right? Because like for me now, my first thing would be get the sage out and just bloody like whip that round, release all that energy that's trapped and stuff, maybe move the room around a bit. But I guess for someone that's not aware of that, yeah, your first thing is to tell them to be quiet. It's funny because actually my niece, she used to have nightmares, and I remember my sister, just saying to me, she has nightmares. And I just sat down with her one day and I said to her, what are you actually having a nightmare about? Do you want to tell me about the dream? And she told me, and my sister was like, she never tells me what it is. And I feel like one, gave her the permission to be able to share it, but two, I don't think she could see it herself. So I don't think she could remember it. So whatever I was doing with her in that moment, holding the space, I think she was then able to see it again. And I was like, wow. So I feel like these little glimmers of my spirituality have come through in these little moments. But I think me just giving her the permission to be able to tell me what she saw, and to not be angry at her about it, or to not find it like silly or anything like that, I think was confirmation for her as well, that she can do that, and it is scary, and all of the things. And I did say to her, I was like, you can tell it that you don't want to see it anymore. She can say, I don't want to see it anymore, it's scaring me, and then it will go. And it did. And I was like, and that was just all she needed to know, was that she has that power to be able to do that.
Yeah.
It's just it's yeah, funny, isn't it? These little moments, little glimmers of things. But on that, actually, when was your kind of like moment where you realized that you were connecting to a channel or something that wasn't yourself?
Oh, there was it was 20. So I would say, like, when I talk about my spiritual awakening, it was the intentional one, like the one where I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. It was 2021. But what I realized is when I did that, I realized that I've always been psychic, and that certain things that happened in my life made perfect sense. I always say it's where I was able to connect all those dots. But for me, like, where I really understood, this is what I do. It was when I actually went to a business event in 2021, and it was a 2-day business event. And I remember just sitting there for most of it thinking, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, it was just like, you just feel like I am not in the room with my people. Like, just the questions, how it was sold, and then what the reality was very different. And I remember there was a woman that was coming in to do a sound healing, and I was like, oh, this sounds nice. And I actually knew who she was, so I got really excited. Her name was Aisha. She is a vibe. Do you know her? Aisha Carrington.
Yeah, I don't know her personally, but I know her through social media, and yeah, I really do like her stuff.
Well, I followed this woman beforehand and I was like, I love her. And she walked into the room and we just locked eyes. And I cannot tell you what happened because I don't know, but something shifted in the room. And I was like, this is why I'm here. So she did a sound healing and she did a little mini card pull. And when I got back to my room, I think it was the first day, I think. It was the first day. I just messaged her straight away and I just said, look, I, I you're the reason I'm here. And I was like, but I don't know what that reason is. And she just messaged me back. We were messaging like all evening. And then we saw each other the next day and she come and did something else. I can't remember what she did, just a little talk. And as soon as I got back, I was like, I need to work with you. But I don't really know what it is that you do. Because back then she used to call herself the spiritual G. And I was like, yes. But I didn't really know what it was that she did. And she was just like, don't worry, I've got you. And I was like, okay, I'm good, I'm glad. And I paid this woman to do, I was like, I don't even know what I'm paying for. I'm just trusting that you're my person. And we worked together for 3 months and she was my spiritual guide. And after about 2 weeks, she was like, Stacey, she was like, you need to read me. And I'm like, what? I was like, I'm paying you. Like, what do you mean I'm reading you? I'm like, I don't. And she was like, no, honestly. She said, you can do this. And I was like, but how? She was like, don't ask questions. Just read me. And she was nearly in tears. She was like, I can't believe what you've just done. And I'm like, I can't believe what I've just done. What did I don't even know what I just said. And it just come out. And I just needed someone that saw me more than I saw myself and that understood she obviously did this. And it didn't make any sense, but I just followed my intuition and she was my person. And to this day, I talk about her all the time and I fucking love her. She is amazing. And yeah, she just saw me and she just
Mm.
I don't know, like I could feel like the energy, that emotion.
Yeah, well, as soon as you started saying it, I started to get emotional, and I was like, with the Scorpio thing happening right now, and obviously it comes up to Halloween, doesn't it? So the veil's getting thinner now up until that point, so I can feel your emotions. So I felt myself get emotional. I was like, oh my God, this is lovely because it is that it's just paying homage to something that opened and changed your life, right? And I think that that's really the point of the podcast, that permission to shine moment, because she gave you that permission because she, especially being in that vulnerable space where she's like, you see me now, like I see you, so you see me, and like that's so beautiful to have that. So I'm so that's so lovely, and I'm glad that you had that opportunity. And I think that for so many people, I think as well, like especially leaders in that space, whatever it is that you're a leader at, it's just allowing yourself to be vulnerable. I think is just so beautiful. And that's that connection point of, like, for me now, I'm talking about this divine feminine leadership. And I don't know what this looks like for me going forward, but I've been teaching it now. And I don't know why this is gearing me up for like this new wave of movement that I think potentially, now I'm talking to you, I'm feeling like I'm going to go into workplaces and deliver things around this now, because that just feels like that's come through. Um, but around this kind of that empathy and vulnerability, like for me, these are the key points that make us like divine feminine. And she just gave you that on a plate, right? She was like, take it, see me, all of me. And I think so many women are hiding behind a mask that they've created for themselves because that's the way society wanted them to look or be. And whether that be success or whether that be the mum that has everything together because she's juggling multiple things, we're just not supposed to live like that as women. We're actually supposed to live in the softness, aren't we? And obviously that everything ebbs and flows, but I think that for us as women, when we can give ourselves the permission to surrender and soften and be vulnerable and to be empathetic as a result of that, I think that's where all the magic happens. And I think that's again where your intuition will come through the strongest, because I guess you're in your neutral state, right, when you're in surrender.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So it's
100%.
just, yeah, it's just funny how I ended up going off on a tangent there, but clearly that wanted to come out. So I was just I was channel that out. Which I love. But yeah, please tell us like how people listening can work with you and what that looks like and all of the things?
So I spend most of my time over on Instagram. So I love to come, like, if you want to come and connect on Instagram, I think, okay, hold on. I've gone to change it a few times. It won't let me change it. But I think it's Stacey Beecham _ Psychic Mentor. And that's where I'm like showing up in my business space, like business owners, definitely over there. I do have a really good TikTok, like for anyone that wants to kind of just in a really light and fluffy way, like introduce themselves to who their spirit guides are or how to connect to them and their angels and understanding what the angel numbers mean. And it's not necessarily what Google says it means. And or anything else really, like if you're seeing orbs or like all the really lovely light, I always call it like light and fluffy. It's the fun stuff. It's the fun side of spirituality. That's over on my TikTok, which I think is Stacey Beecham. Make sure if you are following my TikTok, I do take this as a compliment and I must be famous because there's at least 100 people with my face and name pretending to be me. I'm the one with 55,000 followers. That's the only way you can tell which one's me because they literally copy and paste my work and put it on. It's right. Why do people do that? I have no idea. Just start your own. And then I have a free Facebook group, which is got like not hundreds, maybe about 60 trainings. So I go a little bit in deeper the spirituality. And then there's a membership and stuff like that. But yeah, there's also a free Millionaires Intuition kit. So everything that we've spoken about today, everything that I shared at the event, there is like a free download. And I literally talk you through how to create polarity in your body, how to get yourself in a neutral space, a breakdown and a video of me actually walking you through, like becoming that pendulum. And then there is a training attached to that you can get, which is learning the language of your body. So you can get that through the link in my bio or just come and DM me and I'll send you it over. But it's completely free.
Amazing. Well, I will put some links as well. I'll get you to send me over the links and I'll put them in the show notes so everyone can find them as well easily, which would be cool. And you've also just launched your own podcast as well, so people can come and find you and listen.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yes, I need to remember talking about that. Yes, my podcast.
Yeah, amazing. Well, it's been lovely to have you on, and I feel like just to connect, I just wanted to just spend more time with you, really, to be honest. I was like, right, I'm gonna just get my friend on, really, but no, it's really important. And I think everything that you shared, I think that we're really in this awakening phase, aren't we, where people are just feeling like they're connecting to something but maybe don't know what, like you are the person for them to go and find, to dive into that journey for sure. So have a little bit of a closing tradition, and it's called just your soul to soul message. So based on this conversation and what you want to share, or maybe something that your soul feels like it needs someone to hear right now, love you to share.
Before you even asked that question, that came through. So what I want to say is that your ordinary is somebody else's extraordinary, and don't ever play your magic down. That's a massive lesson that I learned. And that's when I was able to connect those dots to realize, fuck, I'm psychic. And I just thought it was so ordinary. Well, everyone can do this. No, they can't. So yeah, your ordinary is somebody else's extraordinary.
Yes, I love that. Print that on a t-shirt and send it to me. Oh, thank you so much, Stacey. And again, like all the links will be in the bottom so everyone can come and find you. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. This has been amazing. I've loved it.
Yeah.